Tablighi is known to be a person who goes out on the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He goes out on the path of Allah, he's calling people to the masjid, he's inviting people, and that's not all that he's doing. That's not all that he's doing. He's going out with the sunnah libas, he's going out with the sunnah libas, he's going out to call people to La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. And my brothers, look at the life of Hazrat Abu Bakr radiyallahu anhu. He chapped on the doors of the lines of Islam that became the Sahaba-i-Karam. Look at the Ashar al-Mubashara. Majority of them, Hazrat Abu Bakr chapped on their door and said, come to the message of La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. And this is what the Tablighi Jamaat do. They go and invite people to the kalima La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah, and they go to the Muslims to encourage them to come to the masajid, because of the environment, the society that we live in. We have beautiful masjids, but they're completely empty. And this is where we need to come to an understanding that the Tablighi Jamaat brothers are actually doing some really, really good work. Now let me give you a personal story of mine. I remember when I was not practicing, I was in my house. My mum was away to Pakistan. I was alone in the house. And then I hear the doorbell go. And I'm like, who is this? So I'm looking in the window and I see a few guys with beards. And I'm like, what do I do, man? What's going on? These guys are here. I don't know what they're here for. So when I went out and the guy seen me, he obviously was my neighbor as well. So he realized that, this guy, whatever. So he just said, look, we're getting together in this house where we're trying to establish prayer, and we're going to have some food, we're going to be together. And then what happens is, I'm like, okay. So I shut the door, and then I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, I felt bad. There was this guilt inside me. I was like, I should just go, man. So then I ended up going, and the brother, Allah give him Jazai Khair, I went there, and the brothers are feeding me and they're being so nice. And this was the first encounter that I had with religion, you could say, right? On that level, right? Which encouraged me to become practicing today. And after joining, then I went away on Jamaat. I went for 10 days. So I was out on the path of Allah for 10 days. I was staying in different masjids. I was going and telling people to come to the masjid. And then we were doing, we were learning Quran, we were learning the kalimas, we were learning how to pray and what to do and so on. And the Tablighi Jamaat brothers then encouraged me to go to itikaf. After itikaf, then I made a habit of going. And this is what linked me, encouraged me, motivated me, drove me to take admission within the Alamiya program, with the program of Sharia. This is what drove me to do it. It was that brother that chapped on my door. So we should not underestimate these brothers coming to our door. And look, in the whole world, I do not think this would be an understatement to make. In the whole world, there's dawah happening, there's masjids being built, there's literature being published. But the Tablighi Jamaat, there's one other thing I've noticed. They completely, and Brother Azam asked me this. He goes, how do they finance themselves? And you're going to find this amazing. They do not ask for funds. They do not even need funds. They are self-sufficient. These guys get together. So let's just say 10 guys are going to go out on the path of Allah. Then 10 guys will chip in £10 each or £20 each, however much it will. They'll buy it and they'll do it like that. And they're staying in the masjid, which is free. And they're going out. They're actually spending bare minimum. And they're sacrificing everything to be in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is absolutely amazing. How can we say that Tablighi Jamaat is associated to a few uncles that turn up at your door and tell you to come read at the masjid? Brother, if you don't understand the value of that, then that is a problem with you. That's not a problem with the Tablighi Jamaat. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala showers His blessings upon these people. We sit here and we talk about Jehovah Witnesses walking around and going to masjids. And let me tell you another story. One of my friends in the West End of Glasgow, he phoned me and he goes, Zohaib, one of the weirdest things happened, man. I goes, what happened? He goes, a Jehovah Witness came to my house, and after speaking to me for an hour and a half, I started to actually think that there's something, I started to try to link things to what they were saying to me and try to, justify in myself that they're actually right. And in this time, what ends up happening is these Uncle G's turn up at his door. And they're saying, Beta, come to the masjid. He goes, when I seen that guy with his beard, with his jubba, with his topi, and he's standing there with his head down, and he goes, I just went to the masjid and it saved my iman. if it didn't benefit you, do not discourage them, because it benefits thousands. It benefited me. The Tablighi Jamaat benefited me. So my brothers, my message essentially here is that don't underestimate the power of dawah that these brothers do on a daily basis. They sacrifice their work, they sacrifice everything, their household, their families, and they come and stay in the masjid on the floor. They sacrifice their king-size beds and they come and sleep on the floor, masjid floor, and then they're traveling from one place to another place to another place. So there's a few things here. They're sleeping on the floor. There's no consistency in terms of where they're living. They're moving, they're on the move all the time. There's brothers here that are out for a year, 40 days, 3 days, 10 days, and 4 months, and whatever the case is. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's blessing is descending upon these people all the time. All the time. So my message to everybody is that if you ever see these uncles turn up at your door, and you feel there's 8, 9, and then sorry, there was another point that I wanted to make, that these brothers have a code of conduct. And their code of conduct is very strict. That even I learned their code of conduct when I was spending time with them, is one of the fundamental things about these brothers is that they will never peek into anyone's house. They'll chap 3 times. They will not stand if the door opens in a way where you're directly facing inside. Their code of conduct is to stand on the other side so they do not get to look inside. Or just in case, if a woman opens the door, they're on the other side. This is they have some serious code of conduct. They have taken into consideration. Dawah is not a game, but I'll tell you something, that all types of dawah is really good, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless all the people doing dawah. But the Tablighi Jamaat brothers, do not underestimate what these guys do. If you have Uncle G's turning up your door, you speaking to them for 10 minutes, just out of respect for them, and they getting the reward of fulfilling what they're actually out for. Trust me, it will go far and far. You get rewarded from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to be considerate towards the people that are on the path of His deen. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us a correct understanding of, everything. Da'wah, in simple words, is inviting people to the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It was there at the time of the prophets, it was there at the time of the companions, and in the 21st century we have different forms, different ways of dawah, but I would say the most prominent type of dawah in the UK, and definitely in other parts of the world, is through the Tablighi Jamaat. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the ability, give us the understanding to understand the status of the people who are on the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, leaving their homes and everything. Do not underestimate, I'll say this again, do not underestimate when these brothers come to your door. Don't shut the lights, don't hide away. Do it for the sake of Allah, just as they've left for the sake of Allah. They didn't wake up in the morning saying, we're going to go annoy that guy at the address. They woke up in the morning for the sake of Allah. They put their shoes on for the sake of Allah. They're walking in the streets for the sake of Allah. And they're here to speak to you for the sake of Allah. So for the sake of Allah, just give them 10, 15 minutes. And trust me, you never know that those 10 minutes might be just your reason, or you could say your access to become the friend of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the ability to understand. Jazakumullahu khair wa ahsanul jazaa.